Now, anger in itself is not bad, but what we do with it can be dangerous.
My name is Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, "Oh, hey, you're a mom? That is fabulous." But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the ChannelMom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
Brought to you by the Healthy Marriage Project. Just click on one of their ads to find out about a healthy relationship workshop near you. Do you ever struggle with anger? Is that anger ever directed at your children? I don't think any mom out there likes to get angry with her kids, so we're going to tackle that issue head on today. And we're going to look at some very simple ways for you to be more positive with your children and how you can engage your kids in a world that offers them too many distractions. One of my fave guests is on the show today. She's written tons of books. Some you may know of: The Power of a Positive Mom, Bright Ideas for Busy Moms, Diffuse, a mom's survival guide for more love, less anger, and her latest book, Unfailing Love. It is Miss Karol Ladd. Love her, coming to us from Dallas, Texas. Welcome, girl.
Hey, thank you for having me again. I'm thrilled to be on.
Well, you're always thrilled, Karol. I don't think I've ever heard a negative thing come out of your mouth.
Never a dull moment.
No, never. Hey, we've got Shelly here today with us, too, and she's going to probably ask you a question or two. Let's just get right into it, Karol. By the way, why don't we just start like this?
Okay.
I have this theory, you know, and it's the reason I do the show, that in our world, we lift up and glorify and pay attention to a whole bunch of things that have nothing to do with motherhood and family. And so as a result, those kind of fall by the wayside. And as a result, we see that we have super huge rate of divorce, and families are falling apart, and kids are struggling in school and in culture. And you have more and more, you know, suicides and drug addicts and things like that. So my concern is that we want to be the media outlet that says, hey, being a mom is just as important as being a celebrity, so we're going to pay attention to that. How do you feel about the state of motherhood and how moms feel about their job in America right now?
I agree with you, Jenny. I think that motherhood has become something that's put on the back burner as opposed to all the other things that a mother wants to do to fulfill herself. And she's trying to find that fulfillment in all these other things because our culture kind of downplays that idea that, oh, you're just a mom. Oh, you're a mom and nothing else.
Yeah.
And so we really want to bring moms back to helping them understand they have the most significant role in our culture because they are raising the next generation.
Amen.
And it makes me sad that they don't recognize in our culture today, because our culture makes them feel that way, that they just feel like, oh, motherhood, that's just a little part of my life, but that's not really who I am.
Yeah, and that's because nobody honors it. They'll honor you for making a 6-figure salary or living in a big old house, but they're not going to say, oh my gosh, and then, you know, I say this in the intro to my show, oh my gosh, you're a mom? That's fabulous. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever said that to me at a party. And, so, you know.
Right. They almost kind of turn the other way and go, oh, well, she probably doesn't have anything to talk about.
Right. And so I get greatly concerned. And I know it's the reason, you know, on your website, you pay a lot of attention to moms. You've got a whole section of your website devoted to moms. You've done a number of books for moms. And I know you've got to have the same heart that I do for thinking that moms feel less and less like that job is important. So some moms feel like they need to pay less and less attention to it.
Oh, yes, I know. I feel like if the one job I have right now, since my kids are grown, and I still feel like I'm invested in them and invested in their lives, but the other job I really want to do is encourage moms to understand their important role, how vital this role is, because honestly, through their power, through mom's power, and through their example, their words, they are forming that next generation. And we want these kids to understand that they are loved and valued, and that there are rules in life, that there are important ways to live. Our moms are teaching that next generation how to engage with other people, how to socialize, but also how to live with integrity.
And how to work. We will not have a generation of good workers if moms are not raising the kids well. And so America really falls apart if moms aren't doing their jobs. I mean, I really believe that.
That's why we want them to invest, to value this important role that will leave a legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's get to the anger issue. What were you going to say, Shel?
Well, before the anger issue, I wanted to get back to the party issue. So give me some things to say when people say, because my husband is an educator too, like Jenny's husband. Are you a teacher also? Or are you an educator as well? So it's not even just the high-paying jobs, Jenny. It's any job.
Yeah. Do you have an actual job? Yeah. Exactly.
I love to kind of play around with how to respond to that.
Yeah.
But I think one of the, it depends on kind of the situation. But you may even just want to say with a smile, oh, no, I have a much more important role. I am not only a teacher, but I am an administrator, a nurse, a physician, a psychologist, all rolled into one. I'm a mother.
Yeah. Yeah. A taxi driver,
financial analyst,
absolutely. I mean, you can name. I mean, they say that a mom is worth about $150,000 a year or something like that, right around that figure.
Yes, exactly. If you take in all the things that she does, there are so many varied roles. So I think it's kind of fun to play with that question. Oh, what do you do? And maybe even just kind of share. Well, it's amazing what I do. I am a after-school specialist as well as exercise coordinator.
Yeah. I have a neighbor, Carol, and she's elderly now, but she says she raised 6 children, I believe, and she used to say to people when they came up to her at parties, I'm a domestic supervisor, and I have 6 employees.
And none of us are paid.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. The anger thing, and this is something I'm really eager to talk about. We can carry it into the next segment as well. I don't know very many moms that don't get angry, and while I'm grateful that I'm not somebody who throws stuff at my children, and I don't resort to beating them, thank God, but I do yell sometimes, and I feel horrible about it afterwards. Horrible. No mom I don't know of loves to yell. And then there's always the apology, and then I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to teach my kids to be yellers. But you have 2 things that you do here, and that is, number 1, you admit it. You say, moms are angry, and we have to get to that hidden anger, and we need to talk about it. And number 2, how to address their anger and their child's anger, which I love that you have a way to, how do you respond when your child is acting this way too? So just start talking about it, Carol, and then Shelley and I will pop in with questions.
Yes, well, it is important to recognize that anger is going to erupt. You are going to have anger at times because as a mom, there's just a lot of frustrations that happen. You can't live life the way you used to live. You can't even go to the bathroom on your own without little fingers coming out under the door to try and bother you. Mom, I need you.
Yeah.
And so we need, there's just times when we become angry. Now, anger in itself is not bad, but what we do with it can be dangerous. And so it is important, first of all, to recognize, how do I deal with anger? What are some good ways that I can deal with my anger, and what are some destructive ways? And I think we're pretty clear on what's destructive when we are yelling and becoming abusive with our words. That becomes a dangerous part of anger, and it can have ramifications for years to come. So what we want to do, first of all, is identify what are some of the triggers that really set me off. In my book, and actually on my website too, on PositiveMom.com, I have a anger evaluation, self-evaluation for moms. And that's very helpful to kind of just work through what is it that's ticking me off and recognizing those trigger points. But then also candidly looking at, how do I wisely deal with this in a constructive way and not a destructive way? And as I learn how to handle anger in a constructive way, then I'm also teaching my kids to handle anger, because kids are going to get angry too.
Yeah.
And so we have to teach them by our own example. How do we use our anger, and how do we deal with it wisely? I can give you some quick pointers, but I also want to say this. It is good to also understand where our kids are coming from, because at each level of their development, they face different anger issues. A baby, cries and screams. A toddler has temper tantrums. A elementary school kid will have frustrations. Junior high will have hormonal issues.
Yeah.
And so it's good to understand where they're coming from and examine them and get to know them and get to know what's making them tick and what's setting them off. So that's why I also like to talk about, let's understand our kids' anger, where they're coming from, so we can better handle dealing with them.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm gonna let moms know in the next segment, so they'll have to stay tuned, how they get a hold of that. We're gonna remind them how they get a hold of that self evaluation of their own anger. But I want to know, before we do that, we've got about 2.5 minutes left in this segment. What are some triggers? Can you give us some examples of some triggers? Because I know
mine.
Well, for me, it's pride, where they're insulting my mothering or my decision making, or or my consistency, or you know what I mean. My son actually questions my mothering, and then my pride rises up. What would you say, Sean?
For me, it's repeating myself. Like, we've already had this conversation.
Yeah. But that's a form of pride, too. Like, I'm not important enough to listen to the first time.
Well, why aren't you doing what we said?
Yeah. So Carol, in the next minute and a half or so, can you list a couple triggers so moms out there can identify with one or the other?
Oh, man, it is so unique to each mom, but it can be things like even clutter, or the lack of kids picking up the clutter. It can be being tired. It can be being hungry. It can be kids being annoying, or the kids fighting between themselves or not obeying what you've said. It can be hormonal. It can be that your husband said something rude to you in the morning, and you are angry and you're letting it out on the kids.
I think a lot of those are mine.
Yeah. Shelley's finding pretty much every one of those as her trigger.
I don't think I was an angry person.
Yes. So there are so many triggers, and it's important to know your hot buttons and recognize there are certain ones that are going to get you more than other people.
Yeah.
Some people can overlook clutter, while others, it just drives them nuts. For some people, it's that noise. The kid's just making noise constantly, and it's just driving you crazy. But others can overlook that. So we really do have to identify, what's making me nuts here? And also looking at, maybe, are there some reasons why? Maybe growing up, that was something that really bothered you in your household. And then you can also kind of begin to realize, is it really necessary to get angry over that? Are there some ways to work around that or work through that? And also, how can I shift and do something differently? If I'm having to repeat myself and that's driving me nuts and making me angry, maybe I need to look at a different way I communicate this, with my kids, or that I give instructions. Do it in a different tone, a different way, have different consequences. So it's something fluid that we can always look at and relook at, especially at every age level, and begin to see, I'm getting angry here. How can I shift and do it differently?
And we're going to talk about that coming up in the next segment.